As the global fight on the coronavirus disease continues, the words that have become familiar to us are infections, recoveries, and deaths. However, what's not being mentioned are the people stepping up in big and small ways in this trying time. Today on Bump Love, we share our COVID-19 heroes and why. Ladies, kindly share your COVID-19 heroes and why.
Well, so there's the whole heroes, and personally, mine since the word go has been the Minister of Health, Dr. Ruth Aceng. Well, she's a pediatrician. She's actually a doctor, she's a pediatrician, but currently she's working in her capacity as a Minister of Health. And she has been right from the beginning at the front line of this battle. Right from when this thing started, even before we were really fully aware or understood what it really was. She's been giving out information. I feel like she's come out to do her duty to make Ugandans safe. And even if you could say, no, she's a public servant and that's her job, I haven't been hearing the same. I've been following this in the region and in other countries. I actually started following Dr. Ruth at the beginning of this year when she was fighting for the compulsory mass immunization, and she got such a lot of backlash. But I remember the way she responded and tried to calm Ugandans down and apologize and acknowledged for where there were mistakes. And I felt like at that point she was a lion, in this. So for this COVID-19 in this war, I remember a particular time when she lost her cool. She had gone to the airport to talk to foreigners, to travelers coming, and they had just instituted the quarantine, the 14-day compulsory quarantine, because Ugandans, being Ugandans, had refused to listen. They were telling people to self-quarantine, but they were not. And then I think the real problem here was that people were being told to institutionally quarantine themselves at a cost. And this is a woman who had been working so hard, tirelessly, night and day. And then she was human, and she ran off and told a foreigner to keep quiet when she was talking. And social media went abuzz about how she was rude and she needed to have kept her cool. But in my view, she was just being human, because Ugandans have a problem of treating foreigners better than they do nationals. But I remember a statement she made. She said, every country is looking out for their own citizens. So are we. I am going to keep Ugandans safe, and I will do whatever it takes. When I had that she blew me away. I was like, you know what? It might be unfair, but it is necessary. She's doing she's not cutting anyone any slack. It doesn't matter who you are. She'll do whatever she's mandated to do. And so far, she's yielded fruit. She's a woman of steel. She's tenacious, and she exudes a certain kind of kindness that we really need now. Women have been unsung heroes for a very long time, but I feel like she's an inspirational message. She's a living, breathing, inspirational message to young women, to young girls, that this is the time to come out of the shadows, come into the foreground, and let your light shine. Do not fear to make any kind of socioeconomic impact. This business of us driving from the backseat, it has got to stop. We've got to come out of our homes like Dr. Aceng is doing. Dr. Ruth Aceng, the Minister of Health, gets out of her home. She leaves her family every single day to mother Ugandans. And for me, that's why she's my COVID-19 hero.
Thanks for that, Pumla. In my case, as usual, back to the basics. I got back from Lubumbashi on the 15th of March, and I saw all these health workers at the airport checking and testing, and they just didn't stop. And of course, in our minds, you're coming in droves. You're thinking, maybe they're not testing everybody, or they're not testing them right, or they don't have the right equipment. And here were these people just going on and on and on tirelessly. On the 22nd of April, I think, the New Vision wrote about these 3 nurses that identified the first COVID-19 victim at 2 a.m. in the morning, and their names are Doreen Nakalyawo, Lillian Baririe, and Josephine Agoa. So they identified they were monitoring the travelers that were coming in. And this was about 2 a.m. Somebody would have thought maybe they would have been tired or exhausted or, just gone off on their own things. But no, they kept at it, and they were able to at least identify what we'll call patient zero in Uganda. And for me, I think these are amazing heroines. They are.
All right. Nice heroes by you guys. Pumla talking so passionately about Dr. Ruth Aceng. My hero, my COVID hero is a gentleman called Joseph Katongole. Now, I don't know much about him except that he's a border rider. He donated a whooping 10,000 shillings to the fight against COVID. Now, I say a whooping because I'm certain that in his economy, that is a grand amount. And I believe that he gave what he could. But the reason that I was very moved by his donation to a national fight is sometimes in situations like this, a lot of us are thinking about ourselves and our stomachs, myself inclusive. I'm thinking, how much can I save my family, my immediate family? We are thinking the work of the government, let them figure it out. In fact, we are testing to see how well the government responds to this fight. But Joseph challenged me to think beyond my stomach. He showed us that no amount is too small. Every little contribution counts. Now, granted, I have not made a financial contribution to the government, but I'm more conscious and sensitive to the vulnerable people around me. I think twice when I'm serving food on, has the askari eaten, has the maid next door eaten? I think that with everything happening in the world right now, the uncertainty, the despair for many people are losing jobs, we always need a reminder every so often that we are in this thing together and that we need each other. So for me, kudos to Mr. Katongole. His contribution spoke volumes, and for that reason, he is my COVID hero.
I guess I should go next. My COVID hero is Dr. Diana Atwine. And I guess for me, Pumla got the words that I wanted to say about Dr. Atwine. And, because I feel like, and not in a bad way, the permanent secretary of any ministry does that. Yeah, that person does that. The dirty work, and somebody else, and just presents everything real nice and real good for somebody else to look really good. Granted, the minister provides leadership, no doubt, but she provides leadership with people that are competent to do their job. And I think in this period, the calm in this entire storm for Dr. Ruth Aceng has been Dr. Diana Atwine. Like, even when you see her as an individual, she is so calm. So she knows what she's doing. She knows what she's talking about. And we all know she's that silent ear in Dr. Aceng's ear. She's that, the neck that's turning Dr. Aceng's head wherever she's going. So I know for a fact, like, she's seated in the sidelines. Nobody sees her. Nobody recognizes. But for me, knowing full well what a permanent secretary does, my COVID hero, hands down, 311, is Dr. Diana Atwine.
Thank you, ladies, for sharing. My COVID hero would be Amelia Kyambadde. She has really helped that most of the directives the president hadn't mentioned, she enforces. So that, he's a bit, he lets free, because she kept fighting. You would see her fight for the people. Let the borders ride until later, because then people will get food in their houses, pregnant women have now been allowed to move before the president, because you can't remember everything. I feel like the president was on point but he couldn't remember everything. Like really, he had forgotten the pregnant women, he had forgotten about children that need to go to hospital. And I feel like she's a person that has been insisting that, he lets free, so that most of these other things that need to move on continue. People need to still go and buy food. President saying we are at war, let them stay home. And she'll be like, well, we are at war, but please, we insist that let some businesses stay, let the shops stay open. People need to buy food. So I feel like she has fought. She has fought for us back home so that the businesses continue. Some of us that have, companies that manufacture, factories, business has moved on because she insisted that.
Wow. Thank you so much, ladies, for sharing your heroes. As evidently seen, most of our heroes are actually females, and I think it's worth noting that women have been at the forefront of the COVID fight, at least here in Uganda. And many countries are actually looking at us at the way we are handling our COVID cases. The way we're responding. We were at 53 cases last week, 54. And every time I'm sharing with like colleagues from Nairobi, and they're like, what? How are you guys doing it? So kudos to all the guys at the front line, the women that are shining, and the gentlemen. We are really proud of you and proud of the work that you are doing. Those are our heroes. We want to hear from you. Who are your heroes? You agree with the one you shared? You can give a thumbs up. Or share somebody else that has been a hero, somebody that touched you personally, somebody that reached out to you and gave you a somebody that out of their way to make this fight a little bit. So do share with us on the social platforms. Until next time, love from Bangladesh.